you about this amp and why I have it. I originally intend to buy the newer model, or in case you can't see, it's the Joyo bantamp zombie, which is supposed to be a cheaper, more affordable copy of a Mesa Boogie rectifier. As you can see, maybe you'll know, I love Mesas, but they are quite expensive, and I'd rather not bring the expensive gears around if I'm playing with friends or like going out. So I tried to get a cheap alternative to bringing this one around. This is a Mark 525. So I was planning to get the newer one, which is very similar to this one. The main difference between this one and the newer one is the newer one has two foot switchable channels. This still has two channels, but you can't really change it with a foot switch. You have to like manually toggle the channels. So since I was planning to get that one, I'm planning to get that one online, but I can't really, test it before actually hearing what it sounds like, whether I like it or not. So I borrowed this one from a friend, which is the older model. Hopefully it's a similar sound. I think it has a similar sound. It should, because it's the same thing. It's just like no channel switching, no foot switchable channel switching. So do I like it? Not really. Would I recommend it? Kinda. In terms of like sound, it does sound good, but very doesn't have an EQ. It has a tone knob, which just to me it just acts like a high pass filter, because it's more of a compensation for like your pickups, whether your pickups is bright or dull. Also, it doesn't really shape the sound. It's more like shaping the output of your pickups more. But so it's not an contour EQ, which I wish it had, because the contour, it shapes the mids. At least you can scoop the mids or add more of the mids. This is just a tone knob. It's just the top end saja yang affected. Also, the gain doesn't really well, it's gain. You add more gain, it has more gain, but it's very one-dimensional in a way. Well, it could also be my pickups because it's super hot, but about like halfway, the pickups doesn't the gain doesn't really do much. The good thing about that is that it's not noisy. Like even if I max out the gain, it's bearable. See, it's not that much different from halfway to like full. Yeah. But like from halfway to full, it's like very you know how some amp, like if you add more gain, there's sometimes more treble, sometimes there's like boomy bass. This one's very flat. If you add gain, it's just more gain, which is good in a way, but it kind of, I don't know. It's actually a good thing, but it like feels less of an amp. It's just me maybe, but it's not a bad sounding amp. It's just that it can only get one sound. So one trick pony lah. It's either you love it or you hate it. The sound, you can't really get more out of it. So that's all you can do because it only has a tone knob. Maybe if you have like an EQ pedal or like a parametric EQ. Oh yeah, the good thing about this amp is, to me, the big advantage is the effects loop, which is big for me for at this price, which is maybe Bruneian dollars, maybe $100+, definitely less than 200 I think, which is great for a small amp. That's what I want actually, like a small amp, at least at the effects loop and 2 channels. This technically has 2 channels, tapi it's not foot switchable, so you can't really like play and switch the amp at the moment. You have to like go to the amp and like flick it, which is the advantage of the new ones, which is a bit more expensive, but it's still like not expensive. It's still around like maybe $200, which is for an amp of this caliber is a great price. Effects loop, very loud. This is maybe around maybe around 2 in terms of like 1 to 10, and it's already loud. Well, albeit I am plugging into a 212, it's just that one. I know the amp is here, it's not plugged into this one, it's plugged into that one. Which is, I don't know, maybe it's still loud even if I do plugged in to a 112. And it sounds good, quote unquote good, if you like it. But again, there's no variety, there's no no major differences if you mess with the tone knob, mess with the volume, mess with the gain. It's very, again, one-dimensional. But if you're looking for a cheaper alternative for a Mesa rectifier, is it a good not really replacement, is it a good alternative? If it's all that you can get, yes, it's probably one of the few amps that actually copies Mesa rectifiers, because there's a lot of amps that copies like Marshall sounds, like the EVH 5150 sound, which is that mostly a very high gain Marshall sound, but not many amps replicates a Mesa sound and get away with it. This one, I would say, if you can get the real thing, of course you would get the real thing, can. But example, if you're like me, which you have the expensive version, the real thing, but you want a cheaper alternative because you don't want to risk it, or you don't really want to bring that one, or you just want something lighter. Both of these are 20 watts, but you can see the size difference. In terms of loudness, it's of course it's not replicating a Mark series, this is replicating a rectifier series, which is a different series, different sound. But what was I going? But the sound wise, it does sound like a rectifier, but only like a good like example for me is probably if you take a picture of something, yeah, you can see its exact same picture, but that's the thing, it's just a picture of the actual thing. That is what this is to the rectifier, to me. It's just, it captures one aspect of a rectifier. You can't really mess around with the sound much. What you're getting is just that specific character. Maybe you have an EQ pedal, you plug it into the loop, maybe you can like toy with it a bit. But yeah, it's a good sound. The cleans are not amazing, tapi I think it's let's hear it again. I don't have the most versatile guitar. I only have one pickup, so that's what you're getting. But yeah, the gain doesn't really do anything other than make it louder. It's not like very it's not cheap, like it's not like saturating it. Just like the gain channel, the overdrive channel, the gain doesn't really do much. Like past halfway doesn't really do anything. But maybe if you have like lower output because maybe single coils, maybe it does affect it. But for the chuggy sound, it's good. But again, I'm just gonna sound like a broken record. But again, one-dimensional. But if you like that sound, then it's good. It's very good even. Good volume, good sound, quote unquote sound, has an effects loop. If you get the other one with dual channel, it can foot switchable, very usable for live situations. You can fit this maybe in your like pedal board gig bag, or maybe like just carry it. It's very very light compared to this lah. No, even compared to anything else, it weighs about a pedal. Like bring in a pedal, boss pedal, maybe even boss pedals lagi ibarat kali. It's quite light. The disadvantage maybe if you don't have a speaker cab, you might need to get one, which is another few hundred maybe. Tapi if you already have a cab, ataupun you can loan a cab or borrow a cab from a friend or like from a studio, just bring the head. It's a very good, affordable amp. But then again, what else is there in the price range? There's nothing really there in the $100+ There's that. I have a Marshall MG series here, which is maybe, this is like the 30 watt, this is 20 watt, so that one I think now is like $300 or $400. Would I recommend that over this? In terms of sound, no. This is way better in terms of sound. Tapi in terms of features, yeah, the Marshall combo, well, it's a combo, so it has a speaker sudah. Also has like a bunch of effects, which are not great sounding. The sound is not great either. This is far better in terms of sound, even though it's just one sound. That one sound defeats the multiple channel, multiple sound, multiple effects of the MG series Marshall. Also, the Marshall, the 30 watt at least, doesn't have an effects loop, which is a bummer. This does. One major thing for me is the reason I like the effects loop is if you have like a preamp pedal, like a example, I have a Moore here which is supposed to replicate this one, the Mark IV version, and I plug that into the effects loop, so I'm bypassing the sound of this one and using this just as a power amp. So that is my preamp. The pedal becomes my preamp. It also has 2 channels, so yeah, if you're just using this as a preamp, this is it can get pretty loud. I haven't tried it in like a full band situation, but I might try it. But yeah, for the price, like $100+, you can't really get anything else. Not something that's decent anyway. This is more than decent. It's actually good, quote unquote good. Oh yeah, in terms of features like portability, oh, it also has a Bluetooth thing, which, well, if you want to play like backing tracks, but maybe if you're at home, but like an actual situation, maybe you want to perform like a solo, like seorang saja, you play a backing track and you play on this to perform a one-man band. Pretty good, considering like phones now don't really have like even this phone doesn't have an audio jack kan. So why not just use Bluetooth, which is great. Then what else? Compact, powerful, good sound. Again, if you want a better one, get the new one with switchable channels. But if you don't really need like both channels, you just get one channel. Just get this one. But it's only like a few dollars more expensive though, so macam alang-alang if you want the two channel one. Would I recommend it? Yes, if it's your budget. If you're on a budget, and if you want a portable amp that's good, that has an effects loop, or you just use it as a power amp, yes. But if you're like me, you're looking for a cheaper alternative to a real rectifier, not really. Reasoning is it doesn't have, well, it has the power, it has the characteristics, but you kind of lack the fun because I like to tinker around. That's why I got the Mark 5, because it has like post EQ, pre EQ, pre gain, post gain, a lot of like things to tinker around. But like for this one, you can only like fiddle with the tone and the gain. The volume doesn't really add more gain, it's just like pure volume. Kinda lacks the fun part of it. But if you're just a practical person, you just want to get a sound, yes, it's very recommendable. But if you want to have fun, is it fun to play with? Yeah, if you play with your friends, because when you play with your friends, you're not really gonna tinker around with the sound. Maybe if you're recording, you're gonna like try maybe like a few different sounds. This is not gonna give you much. Oh yeah, the back thing, I got like electrocuted just now. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it's electrocuting me right now. Again, if you're looking for a replacement or like an alternative for a Mesa, not really. I'd recommend getting a preamp pedal, like as I mentioned before just now, the Mua this thing, can't really focus because I'm using the front camera. It's this one is like modeled after a Mesa Mark IV, which is the Mark series, like this one. This is modeled after a rectifier, which they also have a rectifier version. They have a Marshall, they have Friedman. Like, look into this stuff. This is also like $100+ $100 or something like that. If you have an amp with an effects loop, I highly recommend this one. Highly recommend. Maybe I'll make a video on that one, maybe. But or you can get this and this. If you don't have an amp with a effects loop, just use this as a power amp. Use this as your preamp. What else? Very lightweight. It looks sleek and it can fit in a bag. And it's like $100. It's, yeah, the only reason I'm considering this is, well, not the only reason, but the main reason is because of the price lah. If you're looking into this, you're most likely considering the price. Also, if you're looking specifically into this one, the zombie model, which is a Mesa Boogie model, you already know this is supposed to sound like a rectifier. Does it sound like a rectifier? Yes. Is it a good sound? Yes. But you can get one good sound, and that's it. It's not really like a camper, but yeah, as mentioned before, like it's like having a picture of something rather than having the actual thing, because you can't really mess with it, but you can look at it, but you can like see it, you know what it is, tapi you know you can't really do anything with it. Yeah, is it loud? Very loud. Can you perform it a band? I have yet to try, but I think you can. It's quite loud. There's also like a Marshall version of this, which is, I don't know, it sounds kind of better, but same thing. It sounds good. Lacks character, lacks tinkerability. Is that even a word? Yeah. I think that's all I have to say. So it's a good amp for the price. In terms of like sound alone, it definitely beats everything in the price range, in its price range. But also you have to consider this thing is over like 20 times the price. So you have to consider that. Even like a small rectifier one is like about more than 10 times the price. So that's a big consideration to getting this one. What else? What does it say? I'm currently not plugged into my pedals. I am plugging in straight into this thing. It sounds like a rectifier already boosted with a tube screamer. So I am not using a tube screamer because I don't think it needs a tube screamer. You can, but it's very it's already boosted sounding. So I don't know, I don't feel it's necessary. It's already high gain. I think that's all I have to say. Maybe future Rashid can add a bit more, maybe, I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, thank you for listening.